Welcome back to Geek Philosophy. So, we're going to do something completely different than what we're doing to do. And when it comes to Avengers Infinity War, it's very hard to talk about the movie without any spoilers. So, a movie this magnitude, I had to bring my boy Clay McDonald here to help me break this down. And we're going to get into a couple of philosophies behind the movie, some spoilers. So, again, I've said spoilers several times. This is your spoiler warning. If you have not seen the movie, go see the movie, then come back. If you don't care about spoilers, sit here and watch. And then don't be mad at me in the comments. Alright? So, Avengers Infinity War. You know what? Let's change it up a little bit. This was such an impactful movie. Let's go ahead and say where is it in our ranking? Top 3 Marvel movies. Where are you putting this, Clay?
The problem with me, the problem for everything that I've seen so far is that the past 3 Marvel movies have been fantastic. I don't know. I think it would be hard for me to figure out between Black Panther, Ragnarok, and this movie which one I like more. I had a ton of fun at each one of them. I don't know. It's I'd have to just flip a coin. I think they're the only reason. I think Infinity War has the edge just because almost everybody is in it. Mm-hmm. And just seeing that, like we talked about in the previous video before, you might have like a little cameo here and there. This one, you think it's a cameo, but no, this is a huge movie. That person's in the movie for the rest of the runtime. So, I think this one might be in a league of its own just because I think that it has that edge over the other movies. But yeah, I'd have to say top 3. I don't know if I could really...
Well, this movie definitely got into my top 3. I still like Winter Soldier the most because it changed the superhero... It changed the superhero genre. Because before it was just superheroes and that's it.
Right.
I think this was the first one that branched and say, all right, I'm a superhero and a spy movie.
Right.
And a mystery. Like, it went ahead and threw all those things at you. So, it's still... Captain America still does it for me in that number 1 slot. I'm going to put Black Panther number 2 because, to me, there was a love letter in that. And if you've seen my reviews on Black Panther, you know what I'm saying. It's a love letter to people on that one. And it wasn't to a certain demographic. It was to all oppressed people, all even oppressors. It was a love letter to them saying, look, this is what you cause. Right. So I definitely still, as a solo movie, that was one of the best first solo movies I've ever seen. And I'm going to go ahead and put Avengers Infinity War in my top 3 in Marvel. And there's a lot of movies in Marvel. Before Avengers had that slot, I'm going to go ahead and say this was better than the first Avengers.
Oh yeah,
I have to say it
better
was.
Than the first. Definitely better than Age of Ultron.
Oh, that's not really a competition.
My wife even forgot that happened. I had to go back and we were talking about. I had mentioned that this is the third one, and she said, "Wait, what was the second one?" You had to remind yourself that Ultron happened.
If you need a reminder on the second one, it's when Quicksilver doesn't run fast enough. Your main superpower is running fast, and you can't run fast enough. That's a problem. But definitely my top 3. It was definitely the best Avengers movie in the group. Let's go ahead and spoil the mess out of this now.
Yep.
So it starts off with Thanos just wrecking Asgard.
Yep.
If you saw Thor Ragnarok, you saw there were survivors, you saw a ship at the end, like it was about to go down, and it happens exactly like you think it's going to happen.
Yeah. Everyone
gets wrecked. The first 2 deaths happen. Heimdall and Loki. Yeah. And I actually thought that was brave to kill Loki in the first, 10?
I went into it. I listed out a few things for friends. I said, I think this is what's going to happen. And I got Loki right. I mean, I thought that Loki...
I thought he was going to die at the end. I didn't think he was going to die in the first 10.
Yeah, I don't know. Loki, I think, doesn't hurt as much as Heimdall, in my opinion, because Heimdall is like, the best friend of Thor, the true warrior in it all.
And you know what? Loki just had a redemption story.
Yeah.
He just had a redemption story, and we're a little biased because we're not females. Automatically, Loki eye candy is gone for the rest of the movie.
I don't know. I think a lot of women were disappointed in Heimdall not being there either. But either way, I saw Loki coming. I figured that was going to happen. We can assume, I guess, that he, given what Thanos does, half of Asgardians are still alive somewhere on the ship.
Where?
Right. And we have no idea what happened to Valkyrie. She just wasn't in this.
Yeah, Valkyrie and Executioner. Those are the two that if they had put them in there and they had died, I would have felt a little bit more.
Well, Executioner died at the end of Ragnarok. Did he not?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. So
he did die.
But yeah, Valkyrie.
Never mind. Valkyrie was the only one I was missing. And that Loki line, we have the Hulk.
Yeah.
That was so much an homage from the first movies. They definitely did. There was like, this is a 10 years anniversary, and this is definitely showing that now you have Loki saying, well, we have the Hulk, and the Hulk goes in, and this is the first time he's faced someone as strong as him, but at the same time knows how to fight. Let's face it, every time the Hulk has been in a fight, he didn't know how to he didn't have to know how to fight.
Right.
He's knew, okay, I'm going to throw haymakers all day long. You're going to go flying across the country somewhere. That's all he's ever done in the movies. And we've loved him for his smashing effect. But this is the first movie where...
You can see it in his face, too, when he's fighting Thanos and he's just starting to get beaten for the first time. Really, it's the only challenge next to the Hulkbuster armor that he's ever had. And yeah, he gets whooped, gets knocked out completely. And thankfully, Heimdall saves him. But, in his dying breath. But yeah, that I think that opening scene really set the tone for the movie. You knew that this was not necessarily going to be a happy ending, or at least a lot of damage was going to be done by the end.
And I think this elevated Thanos too. This is something that I think Marvel always has a problem with, villains.
Yep.
They've always had a problem with villains. I can only name 3 villains out of their movie and TV universe. There's only 3 villains I can normally name, and that's Loki, Wilson Fisk, and Purple Man. Those are normally the only 3 villains I've liked from Marvel. Everyone else has either had that copycat syndrome, where they just pretty much the hero in a different costume with the same powers.
Killmonger too.
I had that
personally.
problem. I had that problem with Killmonger. He was the same, even though he had a deep message. And I loved the message. Power-wise, he was the same, and that annoyed me. It annoyed me. I know there's a lot of Killmonger fans out there. Yeah. I'm like, you could have just made him a villain of his own without being a copycat of, or being that, let's just say, nega Black Panther, or evil Black Panther. That's what he pretty much turned out to be.
Yeah. I guess the costume and everything, basically just being that. Yeah. But at the same time, and this is going off a bit on tangent, but still, I think that it was the only Marvel movie that I've been to personally where I came out of it thinking like, well, that villain wasn't, entirely wrong. I probably would have been pretty ticked off myself.
Yeah, he got a little bit of the Magneto syndrome.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead. Clay will put him in there. I'm not putting him in there. I'm not. Killmonger's still a copycat. So Thanos has now become a villain they've done right. Yeah. He definitely done right. And this was pretty much, to me, this was his movie. This wasn't an Avengers movie. Yeah. Because all the character development, the arc for an established character, which is very hard to do. You've been hinting at this guy for 10 years, and you bring him in, so you already think you know his history, and you still have a character development with Thanos.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very well done. I didn't expect that to be, and with so much action, there was almost nonstop action in this movie.
Yeah.
There was very few scenes where there wasn't action, and you still had an arc for the villain.
I would think that Thanos had more screen time than any of the heroes.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in almost every scene that I can think of. And when he's not, you're thinking like, okay, at what point in time is that portal going to open up and Thanos is going to walk in and wreak havoc on everybody? So yeah, it was different in that aspect than I think any other Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Definitely villain-centric.
So they did a great job with the villain. Let's go right into the meeting into, I think, the best team ups, and this movie is filled with separate stories with different groups of heroes. Like not all the heroes are really combined. We see that Doctor Strange and Iron Man pretty much are the first real team up.
Right.
After Hope just gets his butt kicked, and I thought that dynamic was interesting because these were two characters who went through a ego character arc. Right. Both of them started off with egos in their professional lives, and as they became heroes, they both became not self-righteous or self-centered. Mm-hmm. But
then a little bit of that came out.
Yeah, a little bit of the ego still came out.
The two big egos come colliding with each other. It was great to see the two of them. The dialogue, the dynamic between the two of them. You can't wait to see how the two interact, and when they do, it's exactly what you'd expect. Mm-hmm. It's not going to end well. They're not going to be best friends right away.
But you get a hint at the end that it's a little bit. There might be a little partnership able to form, and I hope so because it literally felt like we can maybe get an Avengers Illuminati movie.
Yeah.
If we just have like all the main Illuminati members just being in there. If you don't know what Avengers Illuminati is, it's a character. It's like the 6 most richest characters in Marvel team up to form a group called the Avengers Illuminati, where they decide, all right, we are the most prominent, we're the most wealthiest, we're decision makers. We're going to go ahead and make decisions for Earth when it comes to a cosmic scale. Didn't end well, but it was a very good comic book run, and it even went into New Avengers by Hickman, which was a great run. So if you haven't checked that out, please check that out. But let's go ahead and go into it. The death toll.
Yeah, I was losing track of who had died. By the end of it, I was thinking, oh well, Tony's still on Titan, and he's got Doctor Strange. No, Doctor Strange is gone, turned to dust. It's basically Tony by himself with Nebula.
So let's go ahead and do it. So there was several deaths even before we get down to it, and let's go ahead and put it out there. Thanos wins.
Yeah,
this is a movie that breaks superhero genre rules and says, all right, the bad guy's not going to win in this one. This first movie, and we haven't seen a movie like this since Empire Strikes Back, to be honest, where the villain actually wins.
Yeah, you're going to want to watch something funny after this, after you watch all of your childhood heroes die.
And that's why I have a mixed feeling. I really have a mixed feeling because I'm used to the characters, the superheroes are the main characters always winning. Mm-hmm. And essentially they proved the purpose of Thanos was the main character. Mm-hmm. And he does win. But to see these characters you've grown up with the last 10 years, even from a kid standpoint, I thought it might have been a little traumatic for kids. Because I heard some kids scream like, what? Yeah. I literally heard kids like, no, this ain't possible. This isn't possible. Like, you had people outside the theater like, this isn't right.
As I was leaving the theater, there was a family with quite a few children walking in, and they were all, had Avengers shirts on and things like that. And I'm thinking, oh, they're going to have a rough time when they leave there because we all have, we've got, a month and a half till Ant-Man and the Wasp. But then you got, Captain Marvel, and you have to wait till next spring, basically, for Captain Marvel and the follow-up to this movie. That's going to be a long wait time, and unless we get a little hint in Ant-Man and the Wasp as to, what might have happened to everyone in this movie.
Yeah, and I don't think we're going to, honestly. It looks like it could be happening at the same time, mm-hmm. Or it could be happening, like, right after, because Ant-Man and Hawkeye are not in this movie.
Right.
They went ahead and threw them out. It was like, hey, yeah. So if you've been wondering why you haven't seen them on the posters, that's why. Mm-hmm. They went ahead and said, well, they're on house arrest. Like, they had to get back with their families, and they made a deal with the government. And
kind of a weird throwaway line for those two characters. It really was.
Because I could have used some giant man action in these.
Well, that's right. At any moment, just as things were peaking towards the end, and Thanos was obviously going to win, I was just thinking, like, all right, I'm waiting for that giant hand to come down and scoop him up and, rip the gauntlet off or something like that. But I think I would not be surprised if by the time we get to Ant-Man and the Wasp in, a month and a half, something like that, once we get to that point, maybe it's running in parallel with everything that's taking place in Infinity War. Maybe that's how it's going to end. Maybe we'll see Ant-Man, the Wasp, any of the other major or minor characters in that movie. What if we get to the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp and somebody turns to dust and you realize that's all happening at the end? I think that would be a great way to kind of explain where they all were.
So you know what? Thanos was another villain that he doesn't see himself as a bad guy.
Right.
And I think when you have a villain that doesn't see themselves as a bad guy, you get for a good dynamic. And what he wanted to do was, there's not enough resources. There's not enough resources in the universe for people to live comfortably. There's always the way that the population in every world he's been seeing in every universe, he's come to the conclusion, well, you're going to have the haves and the have-nots because there's not enough resources. So that causes people to be greedy, and you're going to have the haves, and then you have people who are going to be suffering because they don't. There's not enough resources going around. So he's like, you know what? We'd be better if we just have half and half. Right. If half the universe was no longer here, there'll be enough resources around for everyone to have something.
And he saw that happen on his own planet on Titan. You see the flashback. He saw that play out in real time, I guess. And then when he's talking to Gamora, he tells her about what her planet is like now. Everybody's thriving. No child goes to bed hungry. It's this great society, and everybody, I guess, just remembers that time when Thanos showed up and wiped out half the planet.
Yeah.
But when you have these that sort of egomaniac sort of thing, where does it end? If he's already wiped out half of Gamora's home planet. So does that mean when he snaps his fingers at the end of the movie, it's now down to a fourth? Did he have that again? At what point does he decide what that number should be? But no, I think he had a great backstory. It although it's crazy, it made sense. You can kind of see where he's coming from,
and you kind of felt for him when he was going for the Soul Stone.
Definitely,
when he went for the Soul Stone, and again, this is spoilers. So
hopefully you
realize been through this already, and you just realized there's spoilers. I can't help you. I really can't. But we see an old character come back, Red Skull, which you kind of almost forget he was around.
That blew me away. I had a lot of ideas that ended up being correct when I actually saw the movie. But Red Skull, I was hoping that might be the case, but I thought that was kind of a long shot. Part of that is because of previous comments that Hugo Weaving made about not wanting to come back and put all the makeup on and have him CG out his nose. As it turns out, that wasn't actually Hugo Weaving. I found out it's another character from The Walking Dead. His name's escaping me now, but he's great at impressions apparently, and they had him come in. You could tell that wasn't makeup, it wasn't practical effects. It was definitely a CGI sort of thing. But they've gotten good enough now, as we've seen with Hulk and with Thanos. That really doesn't matter. But I thought it was awesome. He's one of my favorite comic book villains, and I was always disappointed that he dies at the end of the first Captain America movie and we never saw him again.
No, we'll find out he didn't die. He's just been on stranded on this planet.
Yep.
And let's not think too much into it because I was wondering what he was eating this whole time. It's been over...
What's like 8 years?
8 years? Well, it happened in World War II.
In our time, in his time, he's been there for, as he says in the movie, I think a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of makes you wonder. I think he has a line somewhere in there about how he's kind of tortured or tormented to live there and be kind of the guardian of the Soul Stone. So I would assume he could actually be dead, but just kind of a tortured soul stuck with the stone. Who knows?
But we see Thanos' softer side. He has to sacrifice something to get the Soul Stone.
Never thought I'd see.
Soul for a soul gem.
Yeah. Thanos crying. That's something I never thought I'd see.
And it was that little small scene.
Yeah.
Gave you enough to know how much he's willing to do. And he sacrificed his daughter. And there's Gamora's death. So... Let's go ahead and count off I'm not going to count off the death because it's just too many. I'm going to start crying if I do. But I think at the end when he actually gets all the Infinity Gems, and you got Thor trying to do the last minute save.
Right.
You have Wanda sacrificing her love. Like, there's a lot of sacrifice in this.
Hmm.
You literally see Wanda sacrifice her love to kill Vision.
Poor Vision had to die twice.
Yeah, he had to die twice.
So,
And I think he was cool the first time dying, but when he came back, Thanos just goes ahead and used a time gem and was like, you know what, I'm going to reverse time and take this gem back. I thought it was a cheap shot, but I felt like Vision was like, come on, man, do I have to die again?
Yeah.
Like, anyone that said Vision was going to die twice, that one person out there that thought that, you were right. I only had him dying one time. I said he's going to die. I didn't say he was going to die twice. But
I think we have around maybe 5 characters that actually died prior to Thanos' snapping of the fingers. It was something around there. I keep losing track. Every time I think that somebody might still be alive, then I remember, no, they either met their fate ahead of time or they've turned to dust. So that's one where you really just need to go through. I found a list and just went back and refreshed myself, even though I'm only 12 hours out from seeing this or something like that. But either way, it was crazy to see all of that death and destruction. They didn't hold back at all.
No, they didn't. And Thanos wins, and he gets what he wants. He gets rid of half the population in the universe, and we have prominent players that are gonna have movies die, and that also, even though this is a great movie, I thought that took me out of it. Having people we know, like, I'm going to go ahead and say it, Black Panther, such a great movie, so critically acclaimed, know we're having a sequel, to kill him with the snapping of the fingers, that takes the realism away from me.
I could see that. Well, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man.
You're talking heavy hitters right
yeah,
now. Yeah,
but they're also, like you said, and Guardians of the Galaxy 3, we know that's coming. We may or may not get Gamora back. We'll probably get Gamora back. But
I don't know. I think that one we might not.
I think she's the least likely. I think and maybe Mantis too. I don't know. I know a lot of people that would be really upset if we don't see Groot again. I guess the same is probably with Drax. Although, Drax, you want to see him kill Thanos himself. Honestly, because of everything that happened.
I would have took Drax over Gamora. If you killed Drax over Gamora and brought me Gamora instead of Drax, I'd be okay with that. I'm not gonna shed too many tears on that one, but it looks like Gamora is. The people who died before the snapping of the fingers, I think they're done. I think everyone that died from the snapping of the fingers, I think they're coming back, and it kind of takes it. Even though you had such a risque move and went ahead and broke the genre and said, "Look, these characters, all these prominent characters are dead." The fact that the way they died, and knowing that you're not going to lose millions of dollars, because you're not bringing these characters back in their own movie, takes it away from me.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Maybe we'll have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Search for Gamora, and pull Star Trek and go after a dead character. I think that some characters are going to have to remain permanently dead.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I know nobody really remains dead in the comics. You can always come back. But there have to be actual real things that have happened. Otherwise, death's not going to mean anything in these movies.
So it seems like all the ones that stayed alive were the most paid. If we look at it, the ones that are the most paid, you got Iron Man, Captain America. Right.
It's the entire original Avengers. Everybody that was in the original Avengers movie is still around, I believe.
That is true.
But I think that's what you were saying. I think there's no secret that those guys, their contracts end after the next Avengers movie. Mm-hmm. I think that you might even see a reversal. You might see those guys survive this movie, but they're not necessarily going to make it through the next one. I actually would be surprised if we still have Iron Man, if we still have Tony Stark living, or maybe he'll just permanently retire. Captain America's another one.
His contract's up, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and Chris Hemsworth, Thor.
If his contract's not up, it should be up. I don't need another Iron Man movie. I mean, another Thor movie. I can't do another Thor movie.
I really enjoy. I thought they've been getting better. That's my opinion. But also, my wife might have something to say about that.
I think
She's
the
a
last
big
one
Chris
sucked.
Hemsworth fan.
I think that's last one sucked.
Ooh,
He liked it. I didn't.
those are fighting
It
words.
it turned into a comedy. It was a big comedy.
Yeah, but at the same time, though,
It was the most fun Thor.
when you go back and you look, yeah, but when you go back and you look at the Dark World, I mean, that was so droll. So the name matched it well. But I don't know.
Asgard.
Yeah, but that's a whole other thing.
But yeah, I think Thor, even though he did seem so overpowered in this,
Towards the end, definitely.
he just got the snot beaten out of him by Thanos in the beginning because he didn't have a hammer, which we found out in the last movie he doesn't need the hammer. So why wasn't he able to beat him with his OP power?
Right.
They took without a hammer. He took the power of a sun.
Yeah.
To make a new hammer, Stormbreaker, which now we officially know Beta Ray Bill's not showing up in any movies.
Well, I mean, it depends. If Hemsworth doesn't come back, then we could get either. I would personally, I think it would be fun to see Jane Foster come back in the comics as a female Thor, like they had in the more recent comic books.
If it wasn't Natalie Portman, I would go for that.
But yeah, now you've got that combination of hammer and axe.
Yeah.
And it almost like that weapon almost elevates him to invincible status, essentially. It goes from
he
being...
literally was almost invincible in this whole... At the third act fight, he was almost pretty much invincible.
Yeah.
He was literally... He turned Super Saiyan and killed several people and went for Thanos. Almost succeeded. Almost.
Should have gone for the head.
Yeah. Famous last lines. Should have gone for the head.
Yeah.
But and then the Hulk's performance issues I had a problem with. I didn't need a lot of Hulk. I never need a lot of Hulk.
Yeah.
But I don't need a scared Hulk.
Which is weird. They make you think that that's the reason why. Maybe Hulk was just upset that he actually lost, that he knew that he had had met his match. I don't know. It's strange. I hope they go into a little more detail on that in the next movie.
I was liking in the middle. I liked him not showing up when the New York fight and the beginning of the one. I was fine with it. Yeah. I was hoping closer to the end of the last fight, he'd be like, all right, Hulk's never scared, and just break out and be like, all right, I'm back.
Right. I wanted to see that Hulkbuster armor blow apart and then the Hulk jump out of it, and that never happened.
No. Instead, we got Scared Hulk, and we're probably going to have him in the next movie. And we're probably not going to get resolved. Now, there's one post-credit scene.
Yes.
Nick Fury goes ahead and sees that, things are happening. You got someone crash right in front of him while he's driving.
Yeah.
They go, car's empty. You got a helicopter crashing because there's no one flying it. This is the whole, half the population has just been eliminated. And then you see Maria Hill start vanishing. And then you see him, it was like going out to contact somebody. And he's gone.
Thankfully, he had the pager in his right hand because he started disappearing from the left side. So he had enough time to hit that button.
He got enough time to get the pager out, and then we see the image. It's an old analog pager, but we see an image of Captain Marvel. So there's your post-credit scene leading into Captain Marvel. I thought there would have been something more. I thought it would have been a reversal. I thought they would have saved the movie with the post-credit or more of a segue to Ant-Man and the Wasp. But no, we got a segue into the movie next year. So now I have to wait till March of next year to find out what happens. So thanks for the big cliffhanger, Marvel.
And also, what sort of pager was that? Is that and where is Carol Danvers? Is she stuck in the quantum?
Where's she been for 10 years?
Right. Is she?
He's holding on to this he's been. This thing look ancient. He's been holding on to this for a while. And you're literally telling me all the things that we've gone through from Avengers 1.
Right. He's had that in his pocket the whole time.
And you was like, I don't need this. We're good. The Earth done died, almost died 4 times. We don't need her yet. Oh, I'm vanishing. Oh, I need to call her. That was very rude. Very rude.
Yeah. Nick could have helped us out before then. But, I think, there's obviously a lot of questions unanswered on that. Where I just want to know where she's been. Because, I mean, Captain Marvel is essentially the MCU's Superman. I mean,
closest thing, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see.
So, but overall, one of my favorite. This is my favorite Avengers movie. Definitely has beat the mistake that was Age of Ultron, and has beat the fan favorite Avengers for me. So it's in my top 3. If you haven't gone seen it, please go see it. Check it out 2-3 times. It's a great watch. It's a little sad at the end, but this is something that we haven't seen anyone done, and we haven't seen anyone be successfully dark. We've seen superhero movies try to be dark, and we've seen superhero movies get flack for trying to be dark. DC, Warner Brothers, but I think Marvel has done a great job of doing that, and they still kept a little optimism. Like there's a little ray of sunshine. Like this is gonna get fixed. We're just now waiting to see how it's gonna get fixed. So if you were crying at the death of all those fan favorite superheroes, don't worry. There's gonna be something. Then they're not gonna lose money, because again, I think Black Panther was their biggest grossing movie.
Yeah, Black Panther has now become the highest grossing Marvel movie of all time.
It might not be after this movie. It's a solo movie. Right. For a solo movie, they're the highest grossing.
Yeah, I have a feeling if Infinity War doesn't break all of the records, I'd be surprised if this doesn't end up becoming the biggest movie of all time. Especially with the hype behind it. At the very least, it's we're recording this on a Sunday. We'll have to wait maybe another hour or so to figure out what the weekend totals are. But I would not be surprised if it ends up being the biggest.
I didn't hear the pre-ticket sales beating Black Panther, but I do know people were going to this movie. Every theater I've been to was packed.
I may be wrong, but from what I read ahead of time, it sounded like the pre-ticket sales outpaced. I think they said the past 7 Marvel movies combined. So if that's correct, then this I would not be surprised if this is the biggest opening weekend of any movie in history. Definitely the biggest Marvel movie, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yep. Now, after this, we just gotta wait for Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I think people are gonna go see that just to see if there's any hint to Avengers. So if that happens, they put a little hint of Avengers 4 and Ant-Man and the Wasp, which would be a smart move. I think people are going to still go to see the movie just to find out what's going to happen. And that's a way to get your turkey, to get 3 hits in a row.
Yep.
Deadpool's coming up in a couple weeks, so we're going to look forward to seeing that one. And all the Thanos jokes in there. Because Deadpool will be breaking some fourth walls, and now we just have to wait. Now I think we're at this point, after this opening weekend, I think Marvel does owe us something. They owe us a trailer to Captain Marvel.
Yeah, definitely.
I think they owe us a trailer.
Or at least tell us what the 4th movie is called.
Yeah.
We need to know that too. I understand they maybe want to get a week or 2 into this playing in theaters before they release it and spoil something, because apparently it's a spoiler. But nobody really knows. Everybody has their own guesses.
What do you think your guess is going to be?
I think it would be Avengers Victory of the Titan. I don't know.
I feel like that should have been this one's.
Yeah, but that would have been a spoiler. Because they're making it sound like it's a spoiler for this movie. So, I can't really think of,
Avengers Thanos Quest?
Yeah, or Almost Everybody's Dead.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
Avengers 4, Captain Marvel, please help.
Right. So we'll have to wait and see. But hopefully they won't keep us hanging long.
Yeah. That's the thing that just gets me. But again, Marvel does a great job at this. They pretty much have the carrot on a string where the horse. We're just following along. So, but that's our time. Thanks for watching Geek Philosophy. Thanks again for coming, Clay.
Absolutely.
We'll definitely try to make this more of a regular thing. But other than that, put your philosophies down below in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And have a great day. Geek Philosophy. Geek Way of Thinking. Have a great day, y'all. Thank you for stopping by Geek Philosophy. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button, put your philosophies in the comments, and also hit that subscribe button so you can be notified of all future videos. Thanks for stopping by Geek Philosophy, the geek way of thinking.